Hello and welcome to this bite-sized webinar on Net Zero for Business, a roadmap for sustainable growth. If you want to know more and perhaps become a certified carbon literate organisation, contact us for more information, or you can sign up for our next online workshop. The link will be at the end of the webinar. So I'm Claire, the founder of SDG Changemakers, and will be your host today. This summer in New Zealand, members of our business community, particularly in Hawke's Bay, the Coromandel and Auckland, experienced catastrophic damage through floodings. It's not a new occurrence, but the frequency and ferocity of these weather bombs were clear to see. So why should SMEs care? We all know about net zero targets and that we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions rapidly to stop global warming. And our greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide. This graph highlights global carbon dioxide levels during ice ages and warm periods for the past 800 years. It shows atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations and is based on ice core data in parts per million ppm. The movement in carbon dioxide levels highlights the coming and going of ice ages. These are the lower levels, and the warmer glacial times, the higher levels. Throughout these cycles, atmospheric carbon dioxide was never higher than 300 ppm. But in 2019, it reached 409.8 ppm, which is the orange dot. It's important to highlight there has never been so much CO2 in the atmosphere over this time period. At no time in the last 20 million years have levels of carbon dioxide increased as rapidly as is present. The term Anthropocene is an informal one, but it is used to define the age we live in, one defined by human choice, and that we are the dominant force shaping the earth, and the biggest risk to our survival is ourselves. Current mitigation pledges are insufficient to reach the Paris Agreement and prevent irreversible changes to the climate system, which is known as tipping points. The IPCC has warned us all, act now or face the impacts. Billions of people around the world are exposed to climate change impacts, and businesses aren't immune. Cities around the world are responsible for up to 70% of human-caused emissions, and they will face increasing socio-economic impacts. Mitigation and adaptation are crucial to lower the risks to climate impacts. If you haven't already, check out the Global Calculator. It lets you visualize different scenarios, such as warming by 6 degrees, 2 degrees, and 1.5 degrees. It's actually really eye-popping stuff. A joint study released in February this year from McKinsey and Nelson IQ examines sales growth for products that claim to be environmentally and socially responsible. It found that making products ESG-related claims averaged 28% cumulative growth over the past 5-year period. This was versus 20% for products that made no such claims. So how do SMEs create a roadmap for net zero to ensure that they are resilient, catering to consumer demand, and if you're looking for finance, investor demand too? A key one is to understand the regulations taking place in Europe, for instance, or all around the world. These are driven by country-declared net zero targets and pathways, nationally declared contributions, and laws like the Climate Change Act in the UK and the Climate Change Response Act in New Zealand. Europe is leading the way, and businesses will need to comply with the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. And as you can see in point 7, these are going to have an effect on SMEs. Other countries and continents will follow the lead that Europe is taking. But more importantly, if you're part of a value chain which is feeding into Europe, you need to be aware of what is happening and how your business could be impacted by these changes. So the first step in any map or roadmap is to understand where you are starting from. So hence, setting a net zero target makes sense. There's a lot of talk around scopes 1, 2 and 3 in the greenhouse gas protocol, some to confuse and some to help. But essentially, you want to calculate your carbon footprint, and if you can do that as well with your value chain, that is great. For SMEs, we recommend using a simplified method of activity for scopes 1 and 2 and some expenditure for your scopes 3. And this is to get you started. Once you understand what to do, you can be more sophisticated in how you report and get the data you need to collect. Next is exploring sustainable business models and mapping ideas to your existing business model. There are lots of different ways you can create a sustainable business model. This is just one example. But understanding your product process, operating model, and how you create and deliver services will help you identify where you can make those changes, for instance, being circular. As an assessor for the University of Cambridge's Media Marketing Creative course, it is concerning the level of green and purpose washing that we're seeing. Verifying the claims you are making with research and product lifestyle assessments is crucial. Choose reputable and independent standards and always communicate authentically. People want to know where you are on your journey. The Green Claims Code in the UK, Rule 11.4, for instance, states marketers must base environmental claims on the full life cycle of the advertised product, unless the marketing communication states otherwise, and must make clear the limits of the life cycle. So marketers and communicators need to be really clear on what they're communicating, and they need to be supported by the business generally. Here at SDG Changemakers, we do a number of things to support businesses transition to sustainable business models. And we've aligned to the Carbon Literacy Project, a large-scale education programme originating in the UK. If you want to find out more, why not join us on our next workshop or get in touch with the team, and we can help you support and understand how to move to a net zero economy and looking at how to be sustainable. Thanks for listening. See you next time.